Let's get an idea about this. When radio came out 100+ years ago, well, it first came out because there was a need for it. There was a need for a conversation. But what happened almost instantaneously is people started to get afraid. They started saying things. What do we need this for? It's going to change what we do. Conversation stops. Everything is just a picture tube in our home? Really? Do you get it? Do you get the fact that we're doing the same thing right now? In matter of fact, we've done it for almost every technology that's out there. It's human nature. But the game today is to get you to understand really what this is about. Not all the noise you're hearing, not all the clickbait that you're hearing. I want you to understand that you need this. So we always ask ourselves questions. Every time a technology comes in, we need it. Really? In the 80s, when I started in the hospitality industry, do we need this computer thing? What's it going to do for us? And then, do we need this Excel thing? Well, no, I don't need to use Excel. Do I really need Google? I mean, what's that all about? I can find stuff on my hard drive, and the smartphone thing, do I really need it? It's crazy. And do I really need this social? No, you don't, but that's another conversation. I can't get into that right now. So the conversation really is simple. You need it. What I need to know something is how many of you are using AI on a daily basis for your job? Yikes. One or two. They're all sitting in the back row because they know all the stuff about AI. It's a good thing, right? We'll get you some stuff, too. We tend to, as a species, say tech is good, tech is bad. It ain't. Tech is. It's a tool. Every technology has good sides to it and bad sides to it. The same AI that people are afraid are going to take their job is the AI that's going to save somebody's life in an operating room. So let's not be quick to judge here. Now, we're human, so we got to organize information in a way that we understand. So I like to say that technology is, well, way cool, way creepy. And I think that plays really heavily into what we're talking about today. So expectations for what we want to talk about. I only have 45 minutes, and this talk is about 14 hours long. So we're going to put a lot of stuff in here. But let's start the conversation by giving a second to ethics. OK, that's it. That's all we're going to talk about regarding ethics. Why? Because it's a waste of your time right now. You see, the conversation for you is how can I use this and how can I be more productive using this and what it can do for me. Not is it good, is it bad, are we stealing people's information? That's a whole sub-conversation. And I get it's where the media wants to play. It's not where I want to play right now. I want to play with your functionality, your appropriate use of these tools. So we're going to talk about the promise and the tools. And why I put the promise first is understand how new this is. When we talk about desktop AI, which really is what this is we're talking about, because you've been using AI for years, Netflix, Amazon, all that stuff. But the stuff that we ask a question to get information, it's new. It's still going to make some mistakes. So some stuff that we might show today might not work perfectly. You've got to be OK with that. But we're going to show you how to improve everything that you're doing with it. So bonus points here. Who can tell me what GPT stands for? You've been using that term for a year, right? How about generative pre-trained transformer? What does that mean? Let's explain. And we'll explain backwards. We'll go with the word transformer first because it's really interesting. When we talk about a transformer, and this is as geeky as I'm going to get today, but when we talk about a transformer, we're talking about an architecture that, well, that's not a good way to start. OK, understand it this way. When we talk about how we're using AI, we're looking at it like you're driving down the road in a car. And you give it some gas and you're moving. And then all of a sudden you scratch your head and you notice the car is veering off to the left, right? So what do? Grab the steering wheel, bring it back. And again, you take your hand off for a second, the car starts steering again. You see, when you ask a question, AI knows a starting point, but then what words come next? Well, unless you give a direction, it's going to make it up. You've all heard that artificial intelligence or ChatGPT lies, right? It doesn't. It hallucinates. fine line, but understand it. Lie has intention. There's no intention with AI. It's not sentient, no matter what people want to say in science fiction, and that stuff out there is really amazing. But it's not true. So the transformer, we'll give it a definition. It takes each word that comes out there and sort of amplifies its meaning based on what's come before. Think about it. David, we're going to have a conversation. And you ask me a question, and I'm not all of a sudden going to have the entire 2 paragraphs that I'm going to talk about in my head. My brain doesn't work that way. It clearly doesn't work that way in New Orleans. Not a chance at all.
I don't understand what you're saying right now.
There's a delay feed here. But what happens is I start talking, and all of a sudden the squirrel moment comes up, which all of a sudden something happens, and I start weaving it this way. That's what happens with AI. You ask it a question, and if you're not really direct and focused, squirrel goes on a separate direction. It works like our brain. In fact, it's modeled after our brain. So the transformer, this whole thing about the T, all it does is keep the information sort of aligned to what you want it to say. Now, pre-trained is just the model, all the words that were used. They call it a large language model. And if we can be really clear in it, there's a bunch of them you can use. The top left is the logo for ChatGPT. But did you know there's a great tool called Claude, Claude.ai, that also is a large language model you can use? And did you know Meta has a language model, but they're doing it more for open source stuff. And that Gemini, Google's new tool, is out there. So there's a bunch of tools you can use. Whichever one you choose to use, it was trained on all this information, and it's going to respond to you. So how it's going to respond is based on the word generative, generate. Did you know that when you ask AI a question, all it knows is the first word that it's going to answer? What happens then is interesting, because what happens then is it predicts the next word. So if you ask it a question, it might say access, and then I got to figure out what comes next. So let's do it this. Let's play a game. I'm going to show you a sentence, and I want you to figure out and tell me what's the word that should come next. The sentence is pretty straightforward. Waiting for his appointment, the patient sat down in the blank in the doctor's office. Chair, lobby, couch, toilet. Well, think about it. Could it be? Possibility that it goes that way. Elephant? Nah, not going to happen there. Understand that what's happening, unless you give it really clear instructions, that the guessing might take you off in another direction. It's why people say it lies. It doesn't. We haven't given it enough focus. The more focus we give it, the better the information is going to be. So, just so you know, not Google, not Amazon, not any tech company can state this. That is the fastest growing consumer application in history. ChatGPT came out last November, about a year ago, and within 2 months had 100 million users. Yet, interestingly, as we saw in a show of hands, about 3 of you are using it for business. Got to at least give you an awareness of what it can do for you. Because once we have that awareness, then you feel more comfortable understanding what to do. And it all comes down to a single word: prompting. How you ask the question. You see, when it's Google, I could say, who won the Pelicans game last night? And it can tell me they didn't play, or who they win or lose. It's not how AI is going to work for you. You got to give it some specificity. You got to give it some questions that will give it an idea of what to say, and then allow that generation to actually fill the void of what you're looking for. So, how to do that? There are people out there who will sell you for $30 a bunch of prompts. Talking about people making money on almost anything, right? Now, I want you to understand some simple tools that you can use to prompt. And the first thing you need to do is make sure that your mouse works. No, role play. Actually, the first thing you do, really, is you say hi. Hi. I call it G. Go, hi, G. How are you? How you doing today? Now, I don't believe in this nonsense that it's going to take over the world. You understand that, right? It's not going to. In case I'm wrong, make sure that it understands that we're on the same side. The first thing really, though, I say is, you're the world's greatest something. You're the world's greatest destination management company. You're the world's greatest marketer. You're the world's greatest blog poster. Why? Because we're telling you with all this information it has what to focus on. Without doing that, it can go in any direction. So the more that we prime the pump, as it were, we can get better information. So always say, start by giving it an accolade. There's even a school of thought that if you're nice to it, it'll respond better. I'm not sure about that, but then start giving it information. Clear, instructions, examples, redundancy. Tell it what you want to do. In a minute, we're going to see a prompt that's crafted for what you do, and we're going to see how extensive it is. Now, before we get to that, though, we want to take a look at the fact that we can tell it how we want the information to come out. There's a format that's called Markdown language. It'll set it up like a blog post for you with headers and footers and everything. Really cool. You can tell it to put information in a table that you can just put right into your Excel worksheet that you're working in. You can tell it that you want bullet points. You can tell it that I want the information like I'm an 8-year-old, and simplify a really difficult concept. This is all part of the prompt. And then lastly, I always want to say, don't start until I tell you so, and ask me any questions that you need. Again, the whole idea is to make sure that that prompt and what GPT or any of these large language models is going to say is as accurate as possible. So that's the game plan. Tell it what it's good at, focus it, give it instructions, let it know the format, and allow it to converse with you. Cool? Let's take a look. I already did this one because I didn't want to be typing for 20 minutes during a 40-minute session. But here's what happened. I started a conversation with G. I asked if you're getting ready for the holidays, have you installed your seasonal lights around your motherboard yet? The usual stuff that you want to start a conversation with an inanimate object with. And then, of course, it's going to say things like, I appreciate the holiday spirit. I'm definitely able to help you out. Maybe some tech-themed decorations or preparing some plant-based holiday recipes. Wait a minute, it knows that I'm plant-based? We'll get into that in a second, because you can further prime the pump by telling it what you want it to understand about you. Yeah, plant-based recipes great, but I'm with a special group from Access DMC to share the cool tool. Why don't you say hello? And it says hello to you. And it tells me if it's still interested in plant-based recipes, it'll take care of me, but that's not what I want. This is what I want. This is the prompt, and let's go over it. It's long, yeah, get over it, okay? It's not 1 or 2 words, but this one prompt can bring us some great information. So I say you work for Access DMC, the world's greatest destination management company, and you have an incredible ability to help create amazing client experience for your customers. I have told it what it's good at. I'm telling it this is where I want the information to come to. Your creativity and communication skills are the best in the business. Your latest client is from the pharma industry, and they want to reward the top 1% of their salespersons with the most incredible incentive travel trip of a lifetime. Money is not a big concern. What they want is something memorable that will thank and continue to motivate these high performers. I have told it what I want, okay? I'm not just saying, give me some ideas. Now, even more. Create a 3-day experience anywhere in the world you think would be unforgettable. Create a table with 3 potential cities. One of them should be a more obscure destination. The table should provide name of the city, country, and 3 special events that tie into local culture. By the way, just so we're clear as you're looking at this, this is not taking your job. This is augmenting what you do. It's going to make your life simpler. Also, create a stunning image of your recommended destination. Don't begin until I tell you so, and please ask me any questions. It took me a couple of minutes to put that together. But what I want to do is see what it's going to come back with. Is this going to help me do my job? So it says it's an exciting challenge. It calls me by name. But it has some questions. Preferences, limitations, special interests, group size and dynamics, cultural engagement, sustainability, and CSR. Pretty darn cool. I mean, right there, it got some key things that I want to focus on, which is great. So I get to respond. I'm counting you. We need to meet a variety of dietary needs, 100 people, including spouses and partners. Cultural engagement essential. I love at least some focus on sustainability and CSR. Remember, be creative. Here's a lesson for you, temperature. One thing you never hear people talk about is you can gauge and tell the chatbot the temperature, which means how literal or how creative you want it to be. Temperature tends to range between 1 and 2. So when I'm telling it I want a temperature of 2, I want it to be highly creative. In most of these tools, you have the ability to specify that to some extent. I could have just said, be very creative, and that would work too. But I wanted to show you that's another focus. Great. With a focus on cultural engagement, sustainability, catering to diverse, I'll craft a proposal for an unforgettable 3-day experience. And it chose Kyoto, Reykjavik, and I still can't pronounce it even for the days I have this, Ljubljana. Then it gave me 3 events. Then it gave me a post. And I'm happy to share this with you so you can see what it came up with, or even better, you can create that. And then it gave me a top selection. Now, did it know? No, remember, it guesses. So it chose one, and it gave justification for it, which is cool. Now let's create an image. I didn't prompt it again. I told it initially. Create an image. Yeah. Yeah. Hang tight on that, because that's the first of the jaw-dropping moments that you're going to have here, which is how the blankety-blank did that happen? This gets really cool. But, oh, by the way, you can use these copyright free. Every single image you'll see in my PowerPoint is driven by AI. Now, you don't own it either, but you have the ability to use these tools in your presentations. But I'm not done with G yet on this one. He told me what the representation was. Cool. It's wonderful, but our client was really intrigued with Slovenia. So I want to have the conversation where I now can have a conversation with it as long as you're in the same chat. It remembers what it's talking about, and you can go further. So what would make it so special? Let's delve into what makes this experience unique. It talks about the castle perched on the hilltop overlooking the city. I got to find a different one to use next time. OK, ambience, exclusive experiences, culinary delights, sustainability, why it's special. Telling me this. Now, what if I wanted this in only 100 words? I could have told it that. So just give me bullet points. Just give me 100 words. Lay it out however you want it to be laid out. That's amazing. Thanks for the recommendations. Happy holidays. And please go lightly on the eggnog this year. Remember what happened last year at the party. And it gives me, thanks for the good-natured reminder, doesn't partake in eggnog or karaoke. But so we have this conversation. But wait, I wasn't done because I forgot something. So what about that image about Slovenia? Can you create an amazing image of what the blankety-blank castle night evening may look like? If someone can explain to me how to pronounce that, that'll be a good thing. Yeah, yeah, I know. There we go. There we go. Ljubljana? Ljubljana, thank you. I won't mess it up for the second class. Great, OK. There we go. You're the best, G. I'll ask you later for some great plant-based recipes. There we go. Boom, done. There is a single prompt. How many people in this room would think that prompt might actually help them move forward a conversation they have with a client? Yeah, of course it would. It gives you information. It's not replacing what you do, but it is supporting what you do. It may be giving you actually information you didn't think of, and that's where the value of this really comes in. It's smarter than we are. Get over it. It doesn't have heart, it doesn't have soul, but it has a ton of information. It's like saying your brain stores more information than your hard drive does. No. So, could you do it in short prompts? Yeah, you could, but it would take a lot of time. And the transformer tends to forget as it gets further away from the initial request. So we went a little fast there. Hold on a second. Let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to here. Before we get to the image thing, which is really cool. Custom instructions. It knew my name and knew that I had a completely plant-based diet. How? Well, when you go into ChatGPT, and again, I'm going to use a lot of examples here using ChatGPT, but if you want to use Google, if you want to use Claude, you have very similar functionality. But down in the left corner, where your name is, custom instructions. And I can tell it what it needs to know about me and how I would like it to respond. Remember this, because as we start using this even more, this becomes really, really powerful. Now, there are two different versions of ChatGPT, so we're clear, a paid and a free. The free is really good. The paid gives you the ability to get those images done. It's $20 a month, but if you wanted to get those images done for free, because Microsoft has like a $20 gazillion investment in OpenAI, if you go to Bing, you actually can use the same engine that OpenAI does, which is called DALL-E, to be able to create those. But there's one area that I like to spend that money, $20 a month, because it gives me a lot more functionality. Typically, I don't like to spend it unless I'm really 120% sure it's going to add value for what I need. So people are oftentimes worried about whether the information is going to be shared. And I got to tell you something, that you can turn that on and off. Because you can go down to settings, and you can go to your data controls, and you can tell it not to save the information so it doesn't get used. Because let's face it, all these companies want as much data as possible to make these tools better and better. Got it. You have the ability to turn it on and off. There is a conversation happening actually this week about whether if you put a certain word or two in uppercase, whether it gives more emphasis to it. And what most people seem to think is it does. Use it judiciously, but case, does, could, I won't say does, could matter. So could being nice. It actually was shown, as somebody did a test, that when they offered to tip GBT some money, it came up with better answers. Of course, I saw that on Reddit, so I never know whether to believe that stuff or not. Anyway, you got a lot of pointers to make this work. So if we understand text, text is cool, well, what else? Hello. 3 words. I can't draw. Clear. But can you tell me what that is? This group, not a surprise. Of course! Matter of fact, with a prompt, it makes it even better. Well, watch this. If I go to a tool that is called Leonardo, I could put my masterpiece in here. Took me a while, I understand, I'm color challenged. My wife, for my 40th birthday, which was a long time ago, bought me a 64 box of Crayola crayons. She goes, you grew up with an 8-color box. You need to expand your limits. So she was clear that I needed to do some drawing stuff. But if you look at the bottom here, it says still life with wine glass and sunflower and red wine bottle. Well, what does that mean? Well, what it means is if I start sliding this, look at the bottom center of the screen, this creativity strength, it could go from there, and it could then go to there, and it can go to there, and it could go to there. And if I then did something, I don't know, let's see what I can do in a short amount of time, but maybe put some red splotches up here. What's really interesting about that is it'll fill it in. This is generative image making. These tools are phenomenal. And there's a host of them you can use. As a matter of fact, this one I'm using right here, I'm using the free version of it. Imagine working with your client and putting something in there and being able to draw, unlike me, and putting something in there and then giving it a text prompt, and then enhancing it, and then downloading it. Wow. So we got to play with this whole conversation. I want this room to create a masterpiece. OK? Now, I thought long and hard how to do this. And I figured the best way to do this is to play a game. And I'm going old school with a pen, paper. Do you remember the game Mad Libs as a kid? Yeah. Cool, me too. I can't call it Mad Libs because I think I'll get in copyright violation, but we'll call it Ad Libs. So what I'm going to ask you for are a couple of figures of speech, noun, verb, adjective, stuff like that. I have a story pre-formulated, and we'll see how it can create a picture. Now, the tool I'm going to use to create the picture is ChatGPT. So that same tool that we did the text to text, we're also going to do this. So here's what I need. We're going to start with an adjective, and be creative, gang, but I don't think I have to tell you that. An adjective. Swirling? Swirling, okay. Why is this, I might not be able to spell that one either, but let's find out. I need a noun. Unicorn. Yeah, I like you. Let's play a little more on this one. Okay, next up, place.
San Diego.
San Diego came up really quickly. Okay. That's interesting. Note to self, this will be my last job. I don't see me getting hired again. Okay. A verb ending in ing. Running? Running, cool. Okay, so I'll make sure I heard it right. And that's a gerund, right, if I remember my English in 5th grade. I need another place. Be really a little bit outrageous on this one.
North Pole.
I heard a few. I'm going to use North Pole. Because it's Christmas time, absolutely. And the last one, I need a visual style or a visual artist. Impressionism. Cool. Okay. So, what does it look like? A swirling unicorn in San Diego running through the North Pole in the style of Impressionism. Okay, so I cheated. I put some of the basic stuff here. So a swirling, spelled, yeah, I got it right, swirling unicorn. Thank you. It probably would know otherwise, unicorn. In, and we don't need a here because you chose San Diego. And then we're talking about running through the North Pole in the style of Impressionism. Ready? Okay, typically it takes about 30 seconds for these to create. If you don't like it, you can regenerate and have it created again. So it's creating the image right now. And again, any of these tools, I'm going to show you a bunch of them that you can use, can do the same thing. Well, yes and no. Yes, you have to pay for it using it through ChatGPT. If you do this through Bing, you don't have to pay for it. If you do this through some of the other tools, you might not have to pay for it. But again, there's always a which one's best, which one works.
Yes.
There we go. A swirling unicorn if it was running from San Diego to North Pole, all depicted in Impressionist style. And he wants to know if I'm sharing this at a conference or class today. It might be an interesting piece to showcase the capabilities of AI in art creation. How did you know, G? It's so smart.
Say hello to everyone there.
Okay. Yes, so hi. It would talk to you and kick me out of this room if it wanted to. So, amazing stuff. Yet, the world really is your oyster on this one, because when we look at this, there was times not too long ago, a few months ago, that we can create images, but we couldn't get the words right. And I was speaking in September down in Texas, and I tried to create these banners for the Houston and Dallas conversations, and what I got was Hoston and Dalleg, or whatever that might be. And then all of a sudden it got better. And then it got really good. So there's your icon for this event right there. Beautiful. It took me about 30 seconds to create that. What did I say? Party in New Orleans, please put it as a text, access DMC. Sometimes it doesn't always get the text right initially, but big deal. You ask it again, there it goes. So if you think that's amazing, got a video to show you. Text to video. company by the name of Runway came out with Gen 2 about 6 months ago, blew everyone away. And that's just the start. Now, the videos are really short, 3 to 4 seconds. You can build multiple ones. You can now generate it from not only a text prompt, but an image, or even another video. If you really play in the space where these folks are hanging out, the amount of creativity out there is absolutely phenomenal. Cool. What else can I do for me? Obviously, you can do your writing, blog post, marketing, no doubt about it. Is it perfect? No. Does it jumpstart that writer's block that we all have? Yeah, you bet. But it can analyze your data. It can automate your social media. It can build a website. That's interesting. It can create VBA code. It can build a chatbot. We got a little bit of time. Let's dive into a couple of these. Matter of fact, the one I want to dive into first is the building a chatbot. There were companies out there that were doing this for the past couple of years. But since we're playing in the space of GPT, about 3 weeks ago, they came out with their own tool called, and they obviously don't have marketing folks that you do on their staff, they call it GPTs. What's important about that is that if you have the account that we do, we can hit Explore, and you can create your own. So let me show when I was just at the Expo. Last week? Yeah, it was last week. And so who is speaking at the conference? Now, while it's doing that, and I'll come back, let's see if it actually, no, it's searching its knowledge base. So let me show you something. While that's happening, here's its knowledge base. It's nothing more than a GPT that I can tell it what I want. You're an expert on this conference. We can even tell it to prioritize information, all those custom instructions that were there. We can give it the information. We can even upload files. I upload stuff on Dallas and stuff on the exhibit hall. There it is, set up. So the chatbot then, as it's still searching its knowledge base, and it's being a little bit slow. It's a Friday morning. You've been in New Orleans, so it knows that things don't run as fast as they usually do. But now it can interact with you. You can create this. No code, no need to do anything in terms of anything technical, just using basic text prompts. Come on, chatbot, you can figure this out. And watch, it's going to make a fool out of me. As I said, we're looking at the promise as much as the tools here. But as this comes through, knock, 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 I'm going to have to come back to you in a second if you don't do this quickly. We'll come back to it. There is a suite of tools. As a matter of fact, I got something even better for you. End the session, give me a card. I'll send this out to you. Now it's a 24-page document of 100+ AI tools. Just because you're here, you get it. Enjoy it. All these tools that are up here are on that, including Midjourney and Kyber and Runway and Leonardo. These just play in the image space. This is just image stuff. Discord, if you're a gamer, you probably have used Discord as a chat tool. But a lot of it now you can just go into Discord and use without even paying for 95% of these. And what you can do with this stuff, you can take an image and then you can choose to increase it. You can paint inside of it. You can erase, I don't like that face, put a unicorn there. You can do that. You can have motion for video. You have more live tools that are there. Just the amount of video stuff is phenomenal. All you got to do is understand, all you got to do is play. And by the way, that last one's really interesting because this is Microsoft Paint, could be the worst program known to mankind for visuals. Yet now it has DALL-E built into it, free of charge. So you can use generative conversation within Microsoft, which, by the way, is changing their whole approach because they're becoming an AI company. Why? They own a huge part of OpenAI. So you're going to hear a lot about Windows and Office Copilot over the next year, which is going to be AI baked into your operating system and baked into Word and PowerPoint and Excel and all of the Office tools that you use. But what else can you do? Data analysis. And I played this one with Claude. I uploaded a registration file. And I said, what's in this set? And it said, great, this data set contains reg information of a conference. Told me what was in the Excel spreadsheet. I asked for a chart. It gave me something very basic. By the way, when you go into OpenAI and do that, it gives you a bar chart or a column chart or a histogram or anything that you want. So we went a little bit, but you see it sort of plays in code. Yet still, you can have a big client piece of information, a database that you have, and you can now ask questions to it and analyze it for you. By the way, my career as an Excel teacher is officially ended because this is where this is right now. In fact, I'm thinking of creating a chatbot for Excel. So people just ask the chatbot. Pretty sweet. By the way, the conversation's not about technology. You know that, right? This whole conversation is about your creativity, which I know this room has in huge amounts. But once we understand that we're not afraid of it and what it can and can't do, then you jump all in, and it's so cool. Okay, way cool or way creepy? Show me. Watch this. I'm going to talk over it because it doesn't much matter what they're saying. What I want you to understand is that this guy here is looking away from the camera, but the AI allows him to focus right to the camera. So all those awful Zooms we were on for the past couple of years, where people were reading stuff on their second monitor.
Maxing eye contact.
Yeah, oh, right, all the time. So she's looking at her monitor, and that's what the person sees.
You're reading from a tele-
By the way, this is a free tool that NVIDIA is allowing anyone to download if they have a computer that is new enough that can handle it. Pretty amazing. What about combination? What about creating your social media content? Use Dolly to create a 30-second script, and then use a tool such as Augie to be able to take that script, which I did for a North Carolina tourism conference.
The hidden gems of North Carolina this fall. Feel the heartbeat of our lively cities and breathe in the tranquility of our majestic mountains.
Took me 30
Join the
seconds to
festive
create
spirit at our unique
a
fall
30-second
events
video.
and savor our local flavors. End your day with a stunning sunset on our picturesque beaches. North Carolina in the fall, where every moment is an experience. Come,
Don't you
explore,
hate the
and
voice?
create
Yes,
your story.
I chose the worst voice possible just so we all understand that, right? Yes, you can make any voice. You can even use your own voice. Beautiful. Script you create. I went to Dolly and said, give me a script for this. And it gave me a script. I took it and I copied it right in here. Don't use them individually. Use them collectively. Okay, audio. You interview somebody at a conference, and the audio is really crummy. It sounds something like this. Like this. This is a test to see how well artificial intelligence can take a voice that's recorded really poorly and turn it into something very usable in a very short amount of time. Microphone was probably about 20 feet away, right? So I went to Adobe Enhanced Speech, free of charge, still. This is a test to see how well artificial intelligence can take a voice that's recorded really poorly and turn it into something very usable in a very short amount of time. If you were paying attention, if you're of a certain age and remember the Beatles, they just released a new single, right? Why did they just do it now? Because the recording from John in the 70s, they couldn't use 20 years ago when the three of them were together because they couldn't separate the noise from the vocal from the music. The AI now can do that. And they were able to separate that, get John's vocal, harmonize with it. Pretty darn incredible. Okay, I need another idea from you as we start to wrap this up. I need an idea for a startup. One sentence, give me a startup idea. A startup, yeah. Dog. What type of dog grooming? Exotic, oh boy, here we go. Mobile, hairless, so I like you guys. Exotic mobile hairless dog grooming service. Okay, thank you. It is my, obviously, let's say we want to collect subscribers and generate. Okay, great. Submits description, generates the site. The tool, by the way, is called Mixo, M-I-X-O. It'll write the site content. It'll actually come up with testimonials of people who don't exist, which I think is really, really cool. You can configure the site, tweak it, generate the code, and Exotic Paws, professional mobile hairless dog grooming service. And there is your website. with Zane Hill, who you all know, of course, that Exotic Paws has been a game changer for us. It created a website in 30 seconds. It's insane. Matter of fact, you can say, why can they do this for free? Because you can host it right on their site for $15 a month, and all of a sudden they have business. Brilliant. By the way, those chat GBTs we were talking about, you can create one for your business and then monetize it. Here's an interesting business proposition. So much stuff that's out there. I wish I can dig deeper and deeper into all of those. The one that I want to just make sure that you see is sort of in the after work is done. Who likes to cook? Right? Me too. Love to cook. Watch this one. Here's a video. And yeah, I'm plant-based, so don't give me a break on that one. But I took this video, put it in here, and it pulled out the ingredients and the recipe. Ooh, pretty cool there. And by the way, if you have kids who need help with their math homework, use a tool such as PhotoMath, which can actually take a snapshot of any one of these calculations and explain exactly how it was done. Oh my gosh. So there's two things you need to know. Number one, AI is not going to take your job. You're human. You have heart. You have soul. You're not just a computer brain. You get that, right? This is a supportive tool for you. Number two, AI will take your job. We'll get over it. It's done. Yeah, you have no chance anymore. No, no, no. AI is not going to take your job away. Somebody who knows it better than you might. So is that all there is? No, gosh, no. You know that's not the case. There's so much more that we could discover. But to keep you up to date on what's been happening the past couple of days and weeks here, Google did release Gemini last week, a complete upgrade on their large language model. The GPT-5, the next version, is coming early next year, as well as a store to monetize and to find all these personally created GPTs that are out there. In the video space, Pika Labs has just started to release and roll out the most amazing transformation. Remember that runway video we saw? Think about that. 20 times clearer, higher frames per second, better clarity, incredible stuff that's out there. Amazon's coming out with their tool. Elon Grok, I don't understand his naming, but he has a tool out there as well. Meta has a tool. They all got tools. What people are afraid of, though, independent, automated, artificial intelligence, AGI. There are tools that are out there that can do that. What does that mean? That means you tell it to create a picture for a conference, and then it might say, well, let me figure out what conference it is and where it is and do some research on the city. It can literally figure out next steps. Pretty cool. If you were paying attention to what was going on with OpenAI a couple of weeks ago when they fired and rehired their CEO in the scope of a week, the reason might be this Q-star thing, which gives it a next level of knowledge. Some people there are afraid that artificial intelligence is too smart. I think some people also read a lot more science fiction than I do, but that's personal, a choice there. Wearable AI, company called AI Pin. Humane is the company where you can just have it there and it can be on at all times. I'm not too sure about that one, actually. So this is what it means to you. You got a new assistant, but it doesn't do what you always want it to. It hallucinates. That's okay. We know, using the prompts, how we can make that better. This conversation is about and. This is about you and what you can use with the AI, not you or the AI. But we still need to have a healthy disrespect for believing everything. I'm going to leave you with a conversation about deepfakes. See that speaker? Small, left side. See his movements, his motions? Using a pretty straightforward tool, we can take 6 other speakers and give them all the same motion. Matter of fact, give them all, yeah, way creepy, yeah, wait, it gets worse, don't worry about it. So, this is sort of the paper this came from, but I figured let's play. So I've had to find a picture, so me, and need to find a video. Jackie Chan, by the way, with audio.
他们是人类的好朋友，所以呢，我们要爱护花草树木。
You you all know it's about to happen, don't you? And you all know that this is the end result.
他们是人类的好朋友，所以呢，我们要爱护花草树木。
And that is way creepy. And you are way cool. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed.